Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. So we're going to be looking at why this. This.
You know what's happened? You know, once I'm not
and this.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
Could give us a huge insight into the mental battles that are already going on. The shifting of the psychological sweet spot. Who's triggering who? Yeah, that could impact the opponent's performance, hopefully detrimentally, on fight night. We're also going to be looking at what was said between the two fighters that made Johnny Nelson feel like this. You've probably done that yourself before. You know, you've heard a conversation, someone said something and you've just, I'm pretending I'm scrolling on my phone, or you want to look at the situation through your fingers. But this episode, what we're going to be looking at is obviously body language, the neuroscience, the psychology behind it. Now, before all you armchair experts start and believe in Bruce doesn't know what he's doing, all right, you've all suddenly become psychologists because you've read a fortune cookie, yeah? I will show you what Amir Khan does. I will show you what Kell Brook does. I'll provide video evidence, yeah? I can't make this up. But then I'll provide the psychology behind it that allows you to understand what's actually going on in the fighter's mind at that particular time, at that critical moment. All right, we can't make this up. It is there. And then you'll be able to recognize stuff this in you to help you become the best version of yourself more of the time, or even try to take more control of your opponents when you notice what can trigger them so you can do that more often. And if you stay around till the end, I am going to be doing a giveaway of my performance psychology cubes. These are cubes that are used all over the world. Stay around till the end because these help people become the best version of them more of the time in any given situation. That's a Believe in Bruce promise. Now, what's really interesting here, okay, take away the physical skill sets, is what's going on in the mind. The individual zone of optimized function. I've said it before on some of my videos. I'm going to focus on this now because this is where the fight is either going to be won or lost. This is not a normal fight. Forget about the form, forget about the data, forget who's had, so many knockouts, etc. It all goes to pot in a fight like this. So the data that you need, please, that you need to be focusing on is what is happening between Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Honestly, in a situation like this where the limbic system's been fired, all right, the adrenaline's pumping, both Kell and Amir allude to this in the interview about that this fight is so different. It's not just about money. It's about pride. It's about bragging rights. It's about honor. It's about, being able to walk around with either your head held high or looking at the floor for the rest of the life, which is why, okay, fight's not going to be won with ease. It's going to be won with who can control this. And I will prove this to you. Yeah. So again, if you're a betting person, why ignore the data? All right. Why ignore the data? But remember, if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, I'm never really bothered. Leave your comments below. I always like having a bit laughing, a bit banter below. And while you are there as well, remember to give me a thumbs up, if you will. If you're interested in performance psychology, subscribe to the channel as well. Even if you want to give us a bit banter, it's all good fun. Now again, when it comes back to training for the brain, how to handle change, how to handle critical moments, this is really going to be of paramount importance. Yes, you can do the sparring. Yes, you can do all the fitness, you can do all the press-ups, the push-ups. You can get on those newfangled running machines and go as fast as you can and get your friends to take Instagram videos of you and post them on your stories, all right? But that does not prepare you. I'll put my teeth back in, yeah? That does not prepare you to engage in this specific cerebral environment. And it is a cerebral environment, okay? In something like this, when the fighters perceive that there is lots at stake, remember, it's a cerebral thought, it's a narrative that the fighters are playing in their head here. What this can do, we mentioned the individual zone of optimized function, the inverted U, your sweet spot. I'm not aroused enough, I'm too aroused, all right? We need to be in that sweet spot more of the time. That's what performance psychology helps people to do. Being too up for it, being too stimulated, being too aroused. This is sounding like a different conversation here. What really is going on in the fighter's head? What games are being played? Who is actually on top? And I'll explain that as well. The benefit for you is that you can then use this information to A, help yourself be more in control of your thoughts and your feelings and your actions, thinking, feeling, acting. But then also you can use this to potentially learn how to dominate, to control, to induce chronic stress on your opponent as well. So let's get into it here. The first question, all right, the guys come to the table, the gloves are off format. The guys come to the table, Johnny Nelson asked the question, to Kell Brook, how does it feel that you're finally here now, or, that the fight's finally on, something like that. Now, what I want you to do, and this is where the Believer in Bruce angle comes in, watch for Kell's left arm. He starts to rub himself. Yeah, that's a self-soothe. His arm just didn't get itchy at that particular time. The limbic system kicked in. There was an awareness going on. There was a feeling that was produced from inside within here. But if you notice, it's just a very subtle rub, but it is there. All right, there, for sure, it is there. And then what you hear is the words. Listen to the words that people say, because that's what they mean. Okay, so you've got a slightly negative body language giveaway here, plus a negative words, which is like, why has it taken it so long? Now, in contrast, what could have happened here, what would have been more likely if Kell was up for it? Remember, we're talking about this particular moment, what thought was going on in his head. A more positive type reaction would have been, yeah, Johnny, fantastic, rub of the hands, a little sort of shake there, yeah, it's finally on. But no, what we see is a self-soothe, yeah, and negative words in a negative context, like why has it finally taken so long to get here? Is Kell thinking that he is not in the best physical shape that he used to be? Yeah, has he actually went down the levels? And it happens to everyone after a certain age, yeah? But we've definitely got a double negative there, a self-soothe that doesn't need to be there, and rather than, yes, I'm absolutely up for it here, why is it taking it so long to be achieved?
Kell, you've got the fight you always craved. How's it feel?
I just think, why has it took until now for it to happen?
Now, interesting here, what we see is when Kell is triggered, when he slightly feels uncomfortable, and what we get is the Pinocchio moment. So they're asking Amir, why is it taking so long to actually do this? And Amir says, it was around about because we had different promoters at the time. Now, instantly, and the next bit I'm going to show you links with this, okay, is you'll see Kell touch his nose. I was with Golden Boy or whatever it was. Watch Kell, his nose just didn't get itchy there. That was the limbic system in. That was the bullshit detector coming in, all right? Remember that feeling of uncomfortableness. That's what the Pinocchio moment is. It could be a lie, it could be feeling uncomfortable, but it's definitely a negative. So Amir Khan mentions we couldn't do it because we had different promoters. Kell touches his nose.
Timing, and I think at that time, having different promoters, for example, I was with Golden Boy at the time, then I moved to Al Heyman, then I moved to Al Heyman, then I moved to Al Heyman.
Then it's backed up by, you can see Kell touching his nose, and he waits, that Hulk is starting to come out at him there, because he says, look, just can I stop you there? Why didn't it happen when we had the same promoters? So this is an example of being triggered. Yeah, somebody says something to you. Parts of your brain start working. They generate different signals, they generate different hormones, and here Kell did not agree with it. It made him feel a bit uncomfortable. Boom, that went up. Wait a few more seconds, he tells you exactly the reason why he felt uncomfortable.
I think everything's timing, and I think at that time, having different promoters, for example, I was with Golden Boy at the time, then I moved to Al Heyman. Obviously, they wanted me to fight more in America than over.
Well, let me stop you though. There, me and you had the same promoter. Why didn't it happen then?
And also, remember, Johnny Nelson is also part of the audience as well. So when Amir Khan starts saying this, you'll see Johnny's arm come across, that he's the defensive barrier against Amir, starts soothing his lip, and then he actually does this with his finger. He is stopping himself saying what he really thinks. The barrier's across, boom, that's there. Now, Johnny and Kell are from the same stable. Yeah, Johnny might have the same views as Kell, and although he doesn't see it, his body screams it.
Al Heyman, obviously they wanted me.
In fact, him and Kell almost do it simultaneously. Take a look.
Then I moved to Al Heyman. Obviously they wanted me.
And this is the bit here where Kell goes on to say, basically, I'm going to hold you to account. Yeah, we had the same promoter. Amir doesn't really say anything. That's the first time he's sort of a little bit lost for words in the interview. And it's the same with you. Yeah, if you get asked something and you know it to be true, especially if it's a defensive acknowledgement, it sort of makes you squiggle in your seat a little bit. You think, oh God, how do I answer this? Yeah, someone has triggered a thought in your brain that's generated feelings. Your limbic system is kicking in. What do we do? This is what Kell Brook does to Amir Khan just by pointing out, well, why didn't it happen when we had the same promoters. Now this is where we really get into this, okay? Listen to the words that people say, because that's probably what they're trying to convey to you. A lot of the things that we go wrong, you might have done it yourself. You know, your partner says, oh, well, I feel like this. And what you start saying to your partner is, oh, well, what you really mean is this, or what you really feel. No, listen to what they say. This is where the stressors will come in, the stimuli, the external stimuli, the internal thoughts that have an impact on the brain. This is why it's not about, it's not just a fight. It's not about money. Kell says it's for bragging rights. It's to find out who's the king of the north. Listen to that word, the king of the north. Bragging rights, all ego, all dominated, which is why if either camp has not prepared their fighters correctly up here to handle change, to handle those critical moments, if the fight sways one way, do they really feel the impact? If they get knocked down, do they totally lose emotional control because of that ego, because of that need to dominate that opponent? But listen to the words that they say, because we get a key indicator here into what's really driving this fight and why this fight is different from any that they've had before.
Fight a break. This is to seal the best king of the north.
And that's why.
This is
why.
different.
No, if fights happen, no.
This is bragging rights. It's not fighting. It's not
bragging
fighting
rights,
Canelo's this or others.
Okay,
This is about the best in
I
Britain.
understand that. 100% understand that, and that's why the fights happen now.
And then here what we have. Yeah, Amir Khan gets brought in. Now, Amir Khan has been the antagonist so far. He's been the snake charmer. Kell's been the snake, just obeying the commands. But this is where it's like a bit like a best mates argument after 5 pints in the pub. I'm not saying I'm hard, but, I'm not saying I'm hard, but, and then it starts going back and forward, you start, losing all emotional control. And then you hear Amir Khan's word changed. He repeats 3 times. Yeah, I'm going to smash you up, Kell. I'm going to smash you up. But because Kell's responded, Amir Khan's limbic system is definitely firing. And the 3rd time he says, I'm going to smash you up. Yeah, you'll hear that change, that inaccurate form of the word. I'm going to smash you up.
I'm not going from either. I just had better opportunities at the time.
Or you?
I've never gone from a fight. Listen, bro.
Yeah, no,
I have never gone from a fight.
This fight could have happened time ago.
But it's happening now, so
yeah,
you should be happy.
I'm just telling you though.
You know what's happening? Once I knock you out, once I smash you up,
you're gonna get smashed. You're gonna get smashed.
Once I smash you up, once I smash you, once I smash you, once I smash you.
What this proves, Amir Khan's human as well. That although he's trying to control that position, that dominance in that situation, is that he can be triggered by Kell. We can all be broken. We can all be forced to quit. We can all be triggered because we're humans with a head and a heart. It's learning how to find those trigger points, and that's what we see here with Amir. It's like Kell responding, Amir doesn't like that. That's why he gets the word wrong on the 3rd time, and he's going to smash him up.
I smash you out.
And that's what we really see going back and forwards. And yeah, this is what could happen in the fight. Both guys, both ego-driven, both wanting to dominate the other one for the reasons we've already stipulated. That's why in an instant, if that ability to handle change, if that inability to have that emotional control is not present, is not practiced, the key is not practiced, then the fight could change instantly, absolutely instantly. But this argument we see going back and forward is could be how the fight plays out if one or the other hasn't got emotional stability.
I'll smash you up.
You're going to get smashed. You're going to get smashed.
Once I smash you up,
Also, another example here of when Kell is triggered, okay, that uncomfortable feeling, so we've got a repeated behaviour here. So if I was Amir's camp, I'd be noticing these little, okay, he doesn't feel comfortable there, let's stop. Let's antagonise him more, let's say more of that, let's induce that chronic stress. Chronic stress on the body is never a good thing when it comes to performance. When Amir says, Kell's below me, he hasn't got much to offer, boom, boom, just a little touch of the nose, but it proves that Kell is being triggered by those type of statements. Do more of them if you notice some of your opponents in any situation, at home, in the corporate world, at work, in a fight. Someone starts doing this, what have I just said? I need to do more of that.
I think I'm way above what he's got to offer.
Now here, Amir's on the back foot. Because Kell is asking him about, well, if the weight's not important, why have you stipulated 149 or whatever it is? Yeah, if the weight's not important. And because Amir knows that's a true question. All right, Amir knows that is a true question. That limbic system fires. The prefrontal cortex says, I can't think about this anymore because the Hulk's taken over, the panic stations come in. That's why he goes silent.
In previous interviews, I will fight Amir at whatever weight, 147 it is, I'll come down to 147. You said it, I posted it.
No, this were time ago. This were a while ago.
But no, you said it.
Do you think it'd make a difference?
It will make a difference because he'll still get knocked out. That's the thing.
Why don't we do it now then? Like, why don't we just? Why does it have to be them weights then? If I'm levels below, why?
And now, the silence is unusual for Amir. So again, above and below baseline, what does somebody do normally? If they do it more of or less of, what was I doing there because I need to do more of that because I've triggered them. I've had an impact on their thoughts, feelings and their actions. Also, we've got another example of silence with Amir because Kell leans over and he says, like, I'm going to knock you out. So they're going backwards and forwards and Kell says, I'm going to knock you out. And he says it with intent as well. You can see, like, he genuinely means it. You know what it's like to be knocked out. And you'll see Amir Khan just go quiet. Couple of eye blocks, boom, boom. There's a negative feeling there. But it's the silence combined with the eye blocks. If you knew what you were looking for, I'm not going to say anything, but I knew that made you feel uncomfortable, so I'm going to do it again and again and again. Because I know it's landing with you in the way that I want it to land.
No, I'm not.
The way you're talking and going on about it.
I want you to know. Yeah, I want you to know. I want you to look at me and understand that I'm going to be over with you when you're out cold. You.
Okay.
You're getting knocked out. You know what it's like to be knocked spark out, don't you? It's going to happen again.
What I like about Kell Brook is there's a acceptance, there's an authenticity about him here. Where Amir Khan seems to be all about himself, and Kell is more open to saying, yes, you know, like we sparred, you had quicker hands, you were picking me about the ring. When he says Amir Khan here, the little bit is about, yes, you are the A side, you've got a bigger profile than me. Accepting the truth can be a really good barometer to find out where that calm level, that baseline is. When you try to hide a lot of stuff, again, depending on the individual, and every individual is different. When you hide some stuff, when you're hyping yourself up, when you're saying non-truths, that's what it's doing, it's activating the limbic system. How you handle that is definitely down to the individual. But by Kell being authentic with his feelings and saying, yes, you got fast hands. Yes, you pinged us about when we sparred a little bit, but then I got back into it. Yes, you know, you are the SA because I believe you got a bigger profile. That puts him in a nice, or a more balanced position that he's not stressing himself out. And again, it's all these little wins that could add up come fight night.
He's already lost the fight.
He loves it.
He's already lost the fight.
I'll give him his due. He's got a bigger profile than me. That's the only.
Then Johnny Nelson asks a really good question. You know, how are you going to overcome your anger on fight night? So that question by Johnny Nelson identifies, zones in, almost laser-like, yeah, on the real crux of why this fight could be won or lost. Have they got emotional control? And you'll see Kell acknowledge that. It's a good question. Also for Amir as well. He says, for me and for him. But watch what he does with his lips. He licks his lips at that particular time, the T-junction, critical moment. What's been said, how do they react? Plus or minus 2 seconds. Anything within there, yeah? That's what we're looking at. That indicates that animalistic reaction. That comes from what he said. Okay, so we're just listening to what the two fighters are saying. The bragging rights, the King of the North, you know, being able to walk around, feeling proud of myself. But Johnny asks a really good question, and you'll hear Kell answer it authentically. But also it's that little reaction that tells you for sure that this animal type, you know, self-preservation mechanism is at a higher level than usual. And that's indicated just by the lick of the lips at that correct time.
Kell, how are you going to control your anger fight night? All the frustration, the years of waiting?
That's a good question. It's a good question, but...
Then what we've got is Johnny asked the question to Kell, what will it be like if you lose to Amir Khan? And again, it's like I can't, it'd be unthinkable. I'd have to walk around with my head down for the rest of my life. Again, this gives you a good indication of what's going on inside here. This gives you a good indication of the external and internal stimulus that both the fighters are placing on themselves. Will that help them get into the sweet spot? Will that move them out of their sweet spot? We don't know come fight night. But if the trainers haven't trained the psychological side of it, that's where the gap's going to be. Very last one that we've got here, the handshake. All right, the handshake. Now, again, we see Kell's trigger for uncomfortableness, yeah, which is the touch of the nose. So as soon as Johnny says, can we get a handshake? Watch what Kell does. Yeah, he doesn't feel comfortable doing it. There's something there, which is why he then does not present his hand for the handshake. Now, that's not to say Amir Khan is more comfortable in this particular situation. It's not to say Kell's uncomfortable with that situation. Kell doesn't want to shake his hand for whatever reason. That was the trigger. You knew you weren't going to get that response because I've explained why. That is Kell's state line barometer for when he feels uncomfortable. Slight touch of the nose there. This is the joy. This is the detail you get with Believe in Bruce. So when you bring all the neuroscience, yeah, when you bring the psychology to it, when you bring the body language, and remember, it's from the gloves are off. We can only get the data from the situation that they are in. There is no guarantee, although it gives us an insight, that will transpire in the fight because that's a different environment. But right now, right here, what have we got? What does that mean for the prediction?
I smash you out.
So bringing this all together, what does it mean for the prediction? Are you a betting person? What are you going with? What have you seen? It's such a unique fight here. It's a bit like the Grand National. Giving all the horses, all right, 5 pints of beer just before the race. Giving the jockeys, forcing them to drink 2 bottles of whiskey. Forcing the jockeys to ride the horses backwards and putting the horse in wellies. Like the form previously is so out of place in a fight like this because it's so unique. It's so stimulated by what's happened or what has been occurring in the build-up over years for this fight. But what we know for sure, this is Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. This fight has been organised for a number of years. They're both at the end of their careers. It is for bragging rights. It is to see who's the king in the north and all the other associated language you've just heard. Or if you've watched the Gloves Are Off episode yourself, this is why it's different. Okay, this is why it's different. It's a bit like Covington versus Masvidal. Yeah, although the skill sets are slightly different when it comes to I am so stimulated by the other opponent. That's when physical skill sets are changed and it often comes into who's got more control of this. So for me, you can't really take anything at all. I'm looking forward to the press conference because as the fight gets nearer, the critical moment gets nearer, we get more authentic, we get more of the feelings. It's less of a showmanship thing, yeah, and more of the truth. But from here, both fighters, I believe, are overstimulated. Both fighters are being triggered by the other fighter more than they would because of what's at stake, which also gives us the conclusion that if their trainers haven't prepared them or if they haven't prepared themselves in here for those critical moment control, that's where it can be lost. It's not going to be won with this. Okay, yes, they can get the knockout, but I do believe, based on the evidence that we've got, is because of how stimulated, how aroused the two fighters are, it's going to be won or lost in here.
Okay, you know what's happened? You know, once I knock you out, once I smash you up,
you're going to get smashed. You're going to get smashed.
Once I smash you up, once I smash you out.
So I hope you've enjoyed that. Again, please comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Who do you think's going to win? But more importantly, why do you think they're going to win? Have the courage and conviction to put it down below. Remember, give us a thumbs up for the algorithm and also subscribe if this is your first time to the Believe in Bruce platform. Like I said about the cubes, if you want a cube, I need to do 2 things. Head across to my Instagram, Believe in Bruce 360. Follow me on that. And there's a website, believeinbruce.com. Yeah, go across there, sign up, tell me that you want a cube, but also why you want a cube. I'm really powerfully, want to link with people who truly want to improve themselves. You want to improve the way you think, you feel, and you act. Connect with me on Instagram, sign up to the believeinbruce.com website for free resources, go down below, leave a message about what you want to do with the cube, what's your goals, what's your objectives for helping you to become the best you. But more important than any of this, believe in Bruce. Remember to be kind to yourselves and each other.